Well, welcome to the PIC SIX podcast. Today we are discussing 1991's LA Story, which is the Steve Martin satirical romantic comedy that is both a love letter to Los Angeles and a gentle skewering of it. Martin wrote and stars in the film. Mick Jackson directs, and it draws loose inspiration from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream and The Tempest, and it follows a wacky weatherman in Los Angeles. Let's take a look.
Rather than do an interview with me, which would be fascinating, by the way, I thought that possibly I'd take you on a, kind of a cultural tour of LA.
Look how he's painted the blouse, sort of translucent. You can just make out her breast underneath it. When I see a painting like this, I must admit I get a little emotionally erect.
Bon appetit. See, I'm done already, and I don't remember eating.
What's his girlfriend's name? Sheila. She's the one who's always kissing everyone hello. I hate that. I'm not kissing anyone hello anymore. Hi! How was I in the meeting?
You were good.
Any advice?
Sure. Skipping. Skipping is the perfect compromise between running and walking. It looks too desperate if you run to a meeting.
What, she's seeing someone else?
Yes, she's going away with him.
So go away with me.
I can't. Don't you see? I would just be using you to get even with her for going away with someone else.
I don't mind.
Let's go.
Great. Woo!
Steve Martin.
Did you know that the same technology used to clean up the Alaskan oil spill can also suck fat from your thighs and chin? LA Story.
I'll have a decaf coffee.
I'll have a decaf espresso.
I'll have a double decaf cappuccino. Do you have any decaffeinated coffee ice cream? I'll have a half double decaffeinated half cap with a twist of lemon.
I'll have a twist of lemon.
I'll have a twist of lemon. Yeah, I'll have a twist of lemon.
I'll have a twist of lemon.
I'll have a twist of lemon.
Well, there you are. With a twist of lemon, here we are, Jeff Smith in Boston, Brad Gilmore in Los Angeles. Just arriving minutes before this broadcast. We're going to talk all about it. But, Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Listen, you just go above and beyond for the PIC SIX podcast. LA Story, worth the wait for this episode because you had to get to LA. Well done, sir. Well played.
Well, you know
Gilmore.
what? I really wanted to drop in, right? Both literally and in the metaphorical sense, right? I wanted to drop into the city. I wanted to drop into the story of Los Angeles, California. Now, this is
the
a
LA
Jeff
story,
pick.
if you will.
Yes, this is a Jeff.
This is a knee pick, yes.
And talk to me about why LA Story was your follow-up to The Nice Guys. I know, because sometimes you gamesmanship. Sometimes you're like, oh, I see this. I'll raise you that. Nice Guys, another LA Story.
That's true. That's true. I don't think that was the reason this time. Yeah, sometimes I will see your movie and say, oh, you like On Your Majesty's Secret Service? Have you seen North by Northwest? Or I'll be upset with you, like for Into the Blue, and then I'll make, no, that's not true. I've never done anything like purposely vengeful. But this one, I was surprised you had never even heard of. And that to me was a crying shame because I think this is, I'm surprised that time has not been kind to LA Story because this is Steve Martin, 91. This is right after Parenthood. This is, I think, right before Father of the Bride. So this would be what some podcasts call a kind of peak of power. And it's a movie that at the time I just thought was funny. As I've gotten older, I could relate more to the Harris Telemacher character that Steve Martin plays because it is definitely one of those stories that I like where it's about a character that is fine with life, but he kind of one day realizes that it's kind of, he's lost control. It's moving on without him and he needs the universe to kind of come in, give him a little push. And I would say it's kind of akin to Joe versus the Volcano, which is another movie from 1990, so the year before. And it's one of those, it can be very silly at moments. And then all of a sudden magic that they don't explain pops in. And I like those. I think that'd be a cool double feature. LA Story, Joe versus Volcano. Two movies of big stars that are not the movies you think of when you think of those stars.
Well, and Joe versus Volcano. Is that the first? No, is that the first Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
This is before Sleepless in Seattle. It's
Yeah,
you got
before
Mail.
you got mail. And it not only is the first Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan, there's 3 Meg Ryans in this movie. So, I mean, what do you need? What more do you need? And a young Nathan Lane and a not so young Abe Vigoda.
Well, Abe Vigoda, I don't think was ever young. And
No, never.
and this is year after. Well, you said it was 1990. Yes, it was year
90
after
is
when
Joe
Harry Met
versus-
Sally.
yeah.
So this is Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan is, and Joe vs. Volcano, not a big hit. I think LA Story, kind of a hit. I think I read it made 60 million, which in 91 is not bad money. It probably wasn't super expensive. So I think it was a hit at the time. I think I remember also it came out in February, which is not a huge time. I mean, now movies just come out whenever.
February is a historically dumping ground.
Yeah. And I think they may have even held on to it for a while because I was reading that they filmed it in March and April of 90. So that's a long time. Although, as we saw just in the trailer, if you know the movie and then you just watch the trailer, you may be thinking, I don't remember John Lithgow. I don't remember a scene where he's walking dogs. There's quite a few deleted scenes. So maybe they did a lot of tinkering in the old editing room on LA Story to get it to fighting weight.
Because the Lithgow scene, well, John Lithgow, first of all, it's a little jarring when. Well, I don't know how do we talk about John Lithgow?
Go ahead.
I don't know how we talk about. I mean, he's okay. John Lithgow. He's John Lithgow.
Sure.
With not in the way that I remember John Lithgow, right? Because
how do you remember John Lithgow?
I think of like Third Rock. John Lithgow.
Okay.
That's like.
Have you seen any of like the Brian De Palma stuff that he's been in?
No.
Okay, like Raising. It's not a chicken movie. It's something else. He could play a good creep. And in Ellie's Story, I've seen the scene. He's kind of like this pompous producer, I think, a Hollywood producer.
Who comes in via jetpack.
He comes in on a jetpack to have lunch with a wig. And he is still mentioned in the movie. His character's called Harry Zim, and you hear every once in a while in the finished movie them just mention Harry Zim, which is a cool name. But they cut him out completely. It's interesting.
Well, I had 2 questions on that. One, well, we should probably, this is like jumping right into stuff. But when I first heard it, I haven't had time to look it up. I feel like Harry Zim was also the name of Gene Hackman's character in Get Shorty.
Get Shorty? Let's look it up. I was
Isn't it?
thinking that as I said it. I know it's got a Z.
It's close to that. It's close to that. And I did watch that deleted scene, and I hate that it was deleted because John Lithgow is hilarious in it. He's pitching Steve Martin's character all these like projects that he's working on, including a romantic comedy about a woman who gets taken advantage of before her wedding night, only to find out later it's her husband. It's a very dark, twisted thing.
Harry Zim, Gene Hackman, Harry Zim.
So they were both Harry Zim?
Yeah.
Whoa. What?
Shared universe.
What's the story there? And they're both producers.
But Get Shorty's based on a book. So what came first? The book Harry Zim.
And that's an
Elmore Leonard. Yeah.
Right? Well, now we got to dive into this.
Now, everybody.
Everyone pull out your phone
You
collector.
thought this was going to be silly. Let's see who can do the research first. You at home, you driving in traffic, stop.
Hey,
Do not.
Elmore Leonard novel,
Yeah.
1990.
Boom.
All right, Stevie
LA
boy.
Story took him 7 years to write. Steve Martin. Did he have Zim from the beginning?
Was he zimming? Was he zimming early on?
Or was he zagging?
Was he zimming or was he zagging? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So you like this movie because you can relate to.
Well, that's how it is now. I like the. I think I'm a cynical optimist, and I think this movie kind of jumps in that. It's so. When I watched it again, I forgot how silly it was, in some scenes, but it's very just surreal. It feels very Steve Martin. It feels like if Steve Martin was making his Woody Allen movie, this is what it would be. This is definitely it has some serious surreal like romantic moments, but it also has scenes where they're playing off 90s Los Angeles drive-by shootings and freeway shootings for comedy, or driving through the LA River to beat traffic, or having a slow motion scene in the shower by turning his shower head to a slow motion setting in the actual shower. So I forgot how silly it is. I tend to remember more the Enya of it all. There's a lot of Enya on the soundtrack. And but I kind of like that. It seems like if this is Steve Martin peak of his power, he wrote this script and they just let him do whatever, because it jumps around, but to me it works in that way. Just the tone is kind of how can you be like so ridiculous and slightly pretentious all at the same time? That is LA Story.
That is LA Story.
That is
LA. Well, so on my first watch, so again, what I love is when I've never heard of the film and I can just dive into it. Don't watch a trailer. I don't look anything up. I don't do that. I just go, okay, Jeff says LA Story, so we're doing LA Story. Okay. And so when I was watching the movie in the first few, I don't know, maybe first 15, 20 minutes, I go, okay, this movie is super silly. You know, it's a very silly movie. And I think that it hates LA. And then when I get to the end, I'm like, I don't know if it was really a commentary on Los Angeles as much as it was on just, you know, superficiality of everyday human existence.
Yeah.
It just, LA happens to be the best backdrop for superficiality.
Right. I think there's a part where the Richard Grant character, he says that the people of LA are brain dead, but Victoria Tennant's character, Sarah, says, I don't know. I think his comment is that if they turned off the sprinklers, the whole town will turn into a desert. But she says she thinks that they took the desert and turned it into a land where their dreams come true, or a land of dreams. I think this movie does both. It kind of admires the ridiculousness of it. I mean, it makes jokes about how some of these houses are over 20 years old.
Yeah.
But and then there's a kind of a weird straight-faced joke that Shakespeare lived in LA at some point, which, sorry, he did not, friends, but in this movie he did. And he's even buried in LA. But yeah, I can see how the first 15 minutes are pretty silly. Probably right up until maybe the Sarah character shows up, it kind of switches. Because even the scene at the breakfast where there's an earthquake and nobody really notices, which is very LA. I think even in my youth seeing the movie, I thought that was hilarious because that is true. People don't really react to earthquakes in Los Angeles unless it's a really big one. Otherwise, like if it happens in the middle of the night, you kind of sit there and go, do I get up? It'll stop.
I've never experienced an earthquake, so I don't know what.
Wow.
A few hurricanes, but never an earthquake. Okay, like have you ever been at the lunch table when it's happened? Like they were in the movie?
Probably. Yeah, I don't think there's sometimes when you're out, like in the day, where there's an earthquake, but you don't realize that's what it is. I have been in Massachusetts where there was an earthquake, which never happens. And I was at work and I felt it. And I thought, that's weird. That felt like an earthquake. But they don't have those here. But they did.
But they did.
I brought the earthquake.
They did and they do.
They do.
Now, so let's talk about some of the cast here. But let's talk with Steve. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first screenplay he wrote after Roxanne. He did Roxanne, and this was number 2 for Steve Martin. Steve, I don't know how much he dabbled. I personally don't know. I know a lot of Steve Martin movies. I don't know how many he wrote after this. I do know that he created Only Murders in the Building and wrote a lot of that show. I don't know about anything else. So what is your knowledge on Steve Martin, the writer?
I know he wrote Bowfinger.
Both
which is
great movie.
fantastic. And that
Also kind of
that-
DNA.
Yeah, and that's another one. It's kind of like it makes fun of the misfits, but embraces the misfits, trying to make it in Hollywood. I don't think it has as many. No, I would say the Mindhead stuff is pretty silly. And there's a dog that walks with high heels in Bowfinger, so it gets pretty silly too. But I think I mean, Steve Martin was the guy that was the wild and crazy guy that started his career with a fake arrow through his head and played the banjo and juggled and did funny voices. So I think
Great
it's always,
Fly Dini on Carson.
yeah. Oh my gosh. And guest hosted Carson a few times, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The white
And
suit.
Steve Martin is the ultimate guy who you thought was on SNL, but actually was never on SNL.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on the show, but he wasn't a cast member.
He wasn't a cast member, I think. Yeah. Well, I think the fact that he had recurring characters, which I guess is more common now because John Goodman has recurring characters. Walken has the Continental. But yeah, I think a lot of people just assumed he was part of the cast. And I think he's written books, and I think he's written some plays, and he has made albums where he plays banjo, and it's not like silly. So he's just kind of a well-rounded dude. But the silliness, I don't think he can escape it. I think that's in his DNA. Although when you see him in interviews, have you had a chance to interview him ever before?
I haven't interviewed him.
Okay. He seems pretty serious. And when he sits with Martin Short for interviews, Martin Short usually does the heavy lifting because I don't think Martin Short knows how to turn it off, but Steve Martin does.
And I do love how late Steve Martin career, he and Martin Short have become, Abbott and Costello for, the new generation of this great comedy duo that, you don't really see anymore. I don't know of a modern, I guess, was Franco and Rogan a modern comedy duo?
Yeah, I guess just from...
Because they did several movies.
They did. I guess... Yeah, I think Farley and Spade, if Farley stuck around, probably would have continued on that way. But Steve Martin was often paired up with people like John Candy and played Trains and Automobiles are great, but that was all they did. He did a few with Rick Moranis, who has a cameo in this, but he did My Blue Heaven, the sequel to Goodfellas.
Yeah, the Nora Ephron. No, not Nora Ephron. Yeah, it's Nora
Ephron. Nora Ephron. Sequel to Goodfellas. And he was in Little Shop of Horrors, which also had Rick Moranis. So I guess when he likes somebody, he works with them. And then Victoria Tennant in this movie, he was married to at the time. And they, I think, met, maybe not, but they were in the movie All of Me a few years before. So I think that's where they met, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
they're no
longer
married.
How you pitched, they're no longer married. And I wonder if it's because he pitched her, hey, why don't you play the tuba in the movie?
Yeah. Can we play Do-Ah Diddy?
Do-Ah Diddy, Diddy Dum Diddy Do. Again, so when I'm watching it, I'm trying to figure out what is this movie? Because Mary Lou Henner's there in the early on, and I'm like, okay, this is a strange looking. Everything's strange about it. Like nothing made sense to me. Like it's very strange.
Is
strange
this like Airplane? Is it like a spoof? What is this LA story?
Yeah. I mean, and again, when they're talking about Shakespeare, and then okay, so he's at the dinner with the lunch with Mary Lou Henner. This is after. I do love him driving to work. I do love that. I mean, it popped me the whole time. And it was just like his normal route, cutting through yards and staircases and all kinds of things. And being the wacky weatherman, being a LA weatherman is kind of a joke in itself, right? Shout out to a friend of mine, Adam Kruger, who's the weatherman actually out here in Los Angeles, who used to be a Houston weatherman. He sneaks words into the weather. Have you ever seen this on TikTok? He kind of like blew up. So you'll say a song, and then he will work the lyrics of the song into the weather forecast. It's actually pretty. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good little gimmick. But it made me think of him because I mean, Steve obviously has a gimmick, or his character has a gimmick in this movie of being the wacky weatherman and throwing all the sunshines and the hell. You never know what's going to happen. Sun, and then it happens to have like this huge rainstorm, which is funny. Bad luck. So again, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm going on the journey. We get to the Mary Lou Henner thing, and then I'm like, okay, this is a surrealist kind of movie that we're going here. This is Jeff's second semi-surreal LA film that he's given me in a row.
This is my follow-up to Mulholland Drive. Yeah.
So I'm like where are we going here? And then the twist of lemon scene happens, and he meets the British woman or the English woman. I don't know the correct terminology. She's the journalist, and he's kind of fallen for her, but he's with Mary Lou Henner, and then he goes to get some pants, and he's got a very young Sarah Jessica Parker who's after him. So I guess this movie is a rom-com midlife crisis kind of situation.
Yeah, that's how I feel it is, where it's so interesting too, because it's a bunch of adults, childless adults. They all just live in their lives, no families. Nobody's married. The Sarah character was married to Roland, Richard Grant's character, but they are no longer married, but he's still in love with her. And they all just kind of are lost in their lives, and they're now being guided by this traffic sign out on the freeway in LA, which communicates with Harris Telemacher and says when the sign sees people in trouble, he helps. The sign does. So
this is the magic that you were talking about.
This is the magic, yeah, because they never explain. It's the Tempest. It's the character that decides it's going to help couples get together. And you do see one early scene at the very beginning. Steve Martin drives by and he sees another guy just staring up at a freeway sign, and then we move on. So there's your prequel. Like, who's that guy? So it's happening around LA, and so yeah, I think it's this weird kind of adults. And now that I think about it, Victoria Tennant even has a line that she says. The first thing that she says to Steve Martin's character is, "I keep thinking I'm a grown up, but I'm not." And then when they fall in love, they actually physically transform into children, and there's a child version of both of them walking together. So I guess it's a movie about second chances. I guess it's a movie about magic and getting another shot. We're figuring it all out in real time, friends. Right here on PIC SIX in the middle of the night.
And again, for Steve, again, when we talk about peak of powers, I guess 91 is where he could have had whatever he wanted made. And this movie in particular, again, by the way, this is a movie on my way to the hotel. I'm passing through LA and in all areas. I'm in West Hollywood. So, there's a lot of signage of all the shows and the movies that are coming out and things of that nature. And I was thinking about this film, and I was thinking in 2026, this movie would not go to theaters, right?
No.
This is like a Peacock movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't see it on Netflix.
Yeah, for sure. It would have to be low budget. It would be Hulu, I guess, because probably now with Only Murders, he could probably flex some Only Murder power and do whatever he wants. But yeah, this is right now, if it's not Marvel or a low budget horror movie, then theater doesn't really need you. I did go see The Invite, and that was an interesting movie to see on a big screen because it is basically a play. But it was nice to see a movie that size in a theater. So I guess it depends. It would be. Well, I don't know anymore because now with the summer Spielberg bombed and Obsession kicked his booty. So, but that's a horror movie. So right now, horror movies are kind of the best bet in theaters.
Well, you had that in Back Rooms and Obsession had
Right.
Eddie and Barrett, who she's getting a lot of buzz for her.
Have you
performance.
seen Obsession yet?
Yeah, I understand. I get it.
It's
Yeah,
good.
she's good. She's great. She's great. Do you think is it too big of a swing to call an Oscar nom for her? Is that too big? Globe?
Globe, sure, but it'll be like she'll be under like musical and comedy for for the Globe, because they always do that where it's bizarre. Like that's not a musical or a comedy. But I'm calling it now, friends. She will be nominated for a Golden Globe for. Although I don't think actors do musical comedy. No, I hope she does. That would be amazing. And I think the fact that Sinners did so well with the Academy Awards, that all bets are off.
You just don't know anymore. But I say that too, and I know this is slightly a diversion, but it's I want to get back to LA Story, but I will say, like, there's like you mentioned The Invite, and what is it called? The End of Oak Street, I think, comes out this week, which is a Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor dinosaur movie, a horror movie of some kind. I haven't seen, but a lot of people are telling me it's great. And then there's The Rivals of Amaziah King, which is Matthew McConaughey, coming to theaters this Friday. And then there's a what's the other one that's interesting? The Wrong Girls, a Kristen Stewart stoner comedy that's coming to theaters on Friday. So it's like there are interesting movies during the summer, like the end of summer. I thought that's a kind of a strange thing to see.
Yeah.
So maybe there's an LA Story that would find its way, but it'd have to be a little bit more surrealistic, and it would be from like Neon. It's not even an A24. It's like a Neon movie.
Yeah. Although A24, the Invite was A24. So I remember when I first saw the trailer, I went, "Oh, what's going to happen at the Invite?" And it's not that movie at all. But yeah, A24, I have no idea who they are anymore. It'd be like if Blumhouse did LA Story and it was a surreal romantic comedy. Like, who knows?
Who knows, Jeff Smith?
Not me. Not Jeff Smith.
Not me either. I will tell you this, that as far as the cast of this movie, this is a wonderfully cast film from top to bottom. It's weird when you see someone like a Mary Lou Henner, who's like, I guess, best known for Taxi.
Yeah.
I don't know what would be the other big thing Mary Lou Henner did that people would know.
The first thing I thought of was she's the love interest of Johnny Dangerously, which is a funny, underrated comedy with Michael Keaton. She was in Noises Off, which is a very good movie version of a play. And talk about a cast in that movie. That has Carol Burnett, Michael Caine, Christopher Reeve, cousin Larry from Perfect Strangers. Who else? I mean, hold on. Noises Off. I recommend Noises Off, everybody. Julie Haggerty, Mark Lynn Baker, John Ritter, Nicolette Sheridan. Noises Off. Highly recommended. Noises Off from 19. Obviously, it's a while ago because John Ritter and Christopher Reeve in it. Peter Bogdanovich directed that, which is weird, but it's based on a play, and it's very funny. But I'm looking now just on IMDb for Mary Lou Henner, and the 4 things she's known for: number 1, LA Story; number 2, Taxi; number 3, Noises Off; number 4, Johnny Dangerously. So there you go.
Okay, you cover the Mary Lou Henner gambit. I believe she was also in Man on the Moon as herself, right?
She was, yeah.
Okay. Now, as far as you talk about cameos, though, when I'm talking about the cast, we're going to get into, I guess we should just get into our categories. Should we just jump into the categories?
Sure.
All right, let me pull up my list
Scene
here.
Scene Stealer is number 1. And I think we can agree that it's probably a very young Sarah Jessica Parker, because she has a very small, well, not a real small part in it, but a very memorable part. And she ends up on a lot of the box art now because I think she was mostly known from Square Pegs when she was in LA Story. She hadn't done Honeymoon in Vegas. She certainly hadn't done Sex and the City. So she hadn't played this kind of character before. And it's a very well written character. It's designed. It'd be hard to mess it up, I think, but she does a good job playing Sandy with the unique spelling.
Well, yes. I mean, when you meet her in the very 90s feeling
Clothing store, yeah. How do you like
and
Steve Martin's pants in this movie? They're very high. It almost is going into Fred Merckx territory with a very high waist.
very high waist.
I missed
And you
that.
know what? Steve is probably the quintessential example. And he's on a short list, I believe, of maybe like 3 or 4 people, but who grade early and it played to his advantage, right?
Because he's always looked 60.
He's always looked 60.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, it's phenomenal. I don't know.
I don't know if this is true, but I hear he does wear a hairpiece, but he's smart because his hairpiece receded with age,
Brilliant.
which is genius. He didn't like go too far with it. He didn't, make it jet black and cover everything. And now nobody knows.
If he's got a hairpiece, he's got the best hairpiece I've seen.
Yeah, he's good because
It's
he
better-
didn't get greedy with it.
It's better than, remember the short run Jason Alexander had a few years ago.
Yeah, that's kind of that's like if you worked somewhere for 20 years and you've got gray hair, and then all of a sudden you walk into work one day and it's jet black, and you're like, "What? Come on!"
It's for a Halloween costume.
You need to move and get a new job and start a new life. Probably get a new name, and if you're gonna try to do that big of a look change, you can't just show up to work on Monday with Just for Men going on. But he played it smart.
I will say 2 things to this. One, there was this YouTuber who I saw who always had like, my color hair. And then he all of a sudden had like Fred Jones, Scooby-Doo, blonde hair. And he's like, oh, it's for a costume. I think he said he was doing Fred Jones for Scooby-Doo. And that was 5 years ago. And he's still got the blonde hair.
Yeah.
It's like, just commit to it. If you're going to do it, commit to it.
Right.
Be open about it. That's what I liked about Jason Alexander, saying, hey, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the person I want to say, if Steve has a hairpiece, better hairpiece, is it Steve Martin, Burt Reynolds, or William Shatner?
Shatner. Here's why Steve Martin wins. I'm not 100% sure. The other 2, we know. Like, even though I've heard the Steve Martin story a few times from somewhat reputable sources, I still will say, I don't know.
Here's the other one. I hear Ted Danson wears a hairpiece.
He does. There's an episode of Cheers where he actually took it off. Yeah. Towards I think the last season, he removes it as part of his character. So all during Cheers, he did have something in the back. Mainly in the back is where he was balding. So it's back there. That's where the hairpiece is. So check out last season of Cheers, everybody. You'll see he removes it in an episode.
Oh, Sam.
Sam Malone.
Now, is there anybody who did the gray hair early better? You had an early Clooney gray, right? Kind of. You had Anderson Cooper from CNN, had very white hair, long time. Blitzer. I'm thinking of now news anchors.
That's just news. Yeah. I think news people, it helps because they look like you trust them. Or like, politicians in the 1700s with their wigs. But no, I think most actors don't do it for vanity. And also they want to look younger. Because even if you think about Richard Gere in Pretty Woman, he has gray hair, but not on the poster.
No, he doesn't on the poster.
Brown hair on the poster.
I'd say Gear's up there, though, too, as a good-looking gray-headed guy.
It helps to have a full head of gray hair, because then you're like, yeah, it's gray. So what? There's a lot.
There's a lot of gray.
That's the flex.
But I agree with you. It's Sarah Jessica Parker as the scene stealer. She's Sandy, which is SAN, capital D, little e, uppercase E, star.
And a star. Right? Very disappointing that in the end credits, it is not listed that way. It just says SANDY. However, I was watching the movie with the captions on, and whenever she was off camera and they put the name of the person that's talking, the captions do spell it her way.
Well, that's because someone appreciates their job.
Yep.
You know, yeah, she's the obvious scene stealer for me. I mean, everyone else. I mean, you could say Harris, you know, or Steve Martin, but I don't know. I think that it's her. Yeah. You know, and even the scene where they're going to the ATM.
Did she talk about being a spokesmodel?
She's talking about being a spokesmodel. It's a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah.
What a great.
Class. I think my favorite one with her, and it's not even that funny, but I chuckled when I watched it again, where they're packing their bags to go to El Pollo Del Mar, and Steve Martin asks her where the bag goes in the car. She goes, "That one here," and she's doing her spokesmodel, like Price is Right spokesmodel point, where one hand goes forward and then to the side. Here,
too good. Just
too good.
Too good.
That's JP.
But you know what? Also, seeing the people rob you immediately, like there's a line for getting the money at the ATM and then a line for being robbed.
Yeah.
It's like, so the criminals are on one side and the customers on the other. You do wonder, because you don't see a lot of outdoor ATMs anymore, really. You see the drive-through bank ATM, but not like the I'm going to walk up on the street ATM. It doesn't really exist. There's the gas station ATM. There's the bank drive-through ATM. No other places.
Yeah,
it does seem like a great place for criminals to hang out.
Yeah, I think that's why you don't see them anymore, because they used to be that way, and now the vestibule of security.
Bosco. That's just for you, Jeff. Which also, there was a Seinfeld reference, but like an unintended predating Seinfeld episode reference. I believe season 5 of Seinfeld, we had the kiss hello.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to kiss anybody hello anymore.
Not doing the kiss hello, Steve Martin says. This was a Jerry call later in Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I don't know if you clocked that, but I clocked it immediately. That's the scene stealer. As far as the cameo king or queen.
Yeah.
Got a lot of choices.
We got a lot of choices. We even have people that I don't even think were all that famous back then, like Kevin Pollak.
Yeah.
Or Larry Miller, who's a very funny comedian who people probably remember from Nutty Professor. He's in the scene at the restaurant, at the coffee restaurant as well. But we have Woody Harrelson, we have Patrick Stewart, we have Chevy Chase, we have even Monty Python's Terry Jones is on the phone when Victoria Tennant is playing the tuba and she calls her mother in England. That's Terry Jones doing the voice of the mom going, "Hey, Daddy," which is a very Monty Python female voice. But for me, the cameo is Rick Moranis as the gravedigger, is the funny gravedigger. At last, a funny gravedigger. It's not a woman either. Used to be a woman, now she's dead.
Yeah, I did like that joke.
Come back, they all do, don't they? Very Nigel Tufnell, Spinal Tap kind of sounding English accent. But
well, you know what? Yeah. That was like a Rob Reinery scene, because it's even kind of Billy Crystal in the
Yeah.
Little bit, I mean, it has some DNA for me there.
I see Rick Moranis back, by the way. I saw clips of him at Comic-Con, and he hasn't missed a beat. I'm so glad.
Looks great.
Looks like Rick Moranis. He's always kind of looked that way.
He's kind of always looked that way. And what is the name of the new Spaceballs? The next one? The new one.
The new one. Yeah.
Great name.
When I was in high school, I took a graphic design class, and we had to make a movie poster. And I made one called Spaceballs 3, The Search for Number 2. And I was very sad that they never made that Spaceballs, but that's what I had always thought the sequel would be called. But
that's pretty good.
Okay, the new one is good. I hope it is good, because you never know. I saw History of the World Part 2 on whatever streamer that was, and not great, but we'll see how involved Mel Brooks was in this one.
Patrick Stewart as the maitre d' though, Le Idiot.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I like him too. I'll give him runner-up.
It's hard for Chevy Chase to be in a movie and me not love that Chevy Chase in the movie, but he's not. He didn't win this one for me.
No, because he's not. He's in it really quick, and his line is actually not even that funny. It's more. Right. I remember seeing that in the theater, and this is Chevy Chase circa Memoirs of an Invisible Man, 91, and I remember the theater going, "Huh, like what's he doing there?" And then that's it.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Le Idiot.
This was not a Three Amigos reunion.
No. Now that would have been pretty cool to figure that out. And then
Martin Short shows up. They're all there.
All waiting for a table at Le Idiot. Hey, they left that on the table.
Yeah.
That could have been something.
And they could have said, "Do you have a plethora of tables?"
But you know what I was trying to think of too is like, when did fan service enter film? Has it always been there?
You mean like having references to past movies? Right. I'm thinking about the first one that I just thought of that even references another movie, and I know it's happened before, but like Coming to America stops to have a scene with the brothers from Trading Places,
right?
And even plays the music from Trading Places. That's pretty. I don't even know if that's even fan service, because when I saw Coming to America, I hadn't seen Trading Places, so I didn't know who the homeless guys were. That's pretty aggressive. I think John Landis used to like doing that, because even in the ill-fated Twilight Zone, the movie, they mention a character called Niedermeyer dying in Vietnam, and that was one of the characters in Animal House. And he would also put Ask for Babs at the end of Blues Brothers, which when it said "Come to Universal Studios, Ask for Babs," because at the end of Animal House, Babs, the characters, became a tour guide at Universal Studios. So they did that, but then like just having random cameos, I think that's been going on since movies began, where people just kind of pop in.
Well, you know which one I remember is what's the Dan Aykroyd Chevy Chase movie?
Spies Like Us.
Spies Like Us, where Bob Hope shows up.
Yeah, John Landis again. He doesn't care.
Yeah,
that's a John Landis one too.
Just playing through, boys.
Yeah.
Isn't that what he says?
Yeah. And he says, doctor, I'm glad I'm not sick. And then leaves. And it's only because they felt like Spies Like Us felt like one of the old road movies that Bob Hope was in. That's it. Just kind of felt like it.
Yeah.
So Bob Hope just showed up playing golf in the desert. Cause movie.
So, I'm going though, again, for cameo, I'm going Patrick Stewart, just because I like the fact that Professor X was a maitre d'.
Yeah.
Great Scott, favorite moment of the movie. What's your Great Scott moment?
You know what? I think anything with Enya was good. I liked all the Enya scenes where it's probably the music doing the heavy lifting, because there's really not too much other than a bunch of wind and rain and planes not taking off, and the Indian music is just pumping. But I get a little emotional there at the end, where she's going to get on the plane and leave, and the weather from the weatherman keeps her from leaving. So I think the last scene for me feels pretty good. So I'll go that for Great Scott.
I think my scene stealer, my Great Scott moment of the film, I think that it is when he's first communicating with the freeway sign. Just because, first of all, the freeway sign had great advice.
Yeah.
Really good freeway sign.
Very wise.
Very wise freeway sign.
And also, not so hard to figure out now, but it's funny that when he first says, "Are you okay?" but just uses the letters, and Steve Martin's character is like Ruach. Now, with texting, that's how everybody talks. So he knew exactly what it meant. But in 91, you're like, what's Ruach?
Ruach was great.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a
Are
great
you
line.
okay? And then he
So
says, "Yeah, I'm okay." But he's not.
I also like I like this scene where he and Sandy are at the restaurant, and she's
The
like
Hard Rock.
the Hard Rock, yes.
Yeah.
And just their whole interaction, and then she's got her boyfriend or whatever.
A bar. Yeah. Yeah. They decided, to see other people, and it's not working out because he hasn't seen anybody. Oh, where is he? Oh, he's over at the bar. This is him. And they cut to the guy. Talk about a great casting as far as a guy with no dialogue. He looks so sad. Like he's perfect. He's on screen for 3 seconds, and oh, this guy. He thought he was going to score. And it's not working. His Venice Beach girlfriend is out there with an old, well, who knows? It's Steve Martin. He could have been 35.
But how old was Steve Martin?
I don't know, but he says Sarah Jessica Parker, she's not that young. She'll be 27 in 4 years.
I think he was 47.
Okay. That's a little old to be with a 25-year-old or 24-year-old or 23-year-old.
What's the cutoff? I think it's 8 plus or minus.
Oh, yeah. I don't. Yeah.
You don't want to explore
no one's told me. I don't know if I'd go. I wouldn't go plus. The older I get, the plus is not great. And I'm including myself. No one wants the plus version of me either. I feel like if I were dating now I think when you're young, you can go to a furniture store and make it, and pick out something that like is perfect. And then when you get older, you're like, you have to go to the store with the crappy and go, I guess that'll work. Can we make that work? It's not, it's all we can afford. It's a little lumpy, but we'll find. But when you're young, you can go to IKEA, you can go to Bob's, you can get whatever you want.
You go to Bob's.
And then you keep shopping. Like, no, nothing here. We'll sit on the floor for a while. It's fine. But you get older, you're like, I need a couch. I don't care. I need to be comfortable. Whatever.
Is this in your stand-up?
No, I just made that up.
That's a good bit. You need to keep that. That's a good bit. That's a really good bit. There's a lot there.
Got it.
There's a lot there. Best shot fired. There's a few contenders here. I think it's the opening commute to work. I think it's the freeway scene. I think it's roller skating through the museum. I think it's the storm, like you just talked about, where Sarah, doesn't go to doesn't leave because of the weather. There's a lot there. I like the ballet. I like the skating in the museum.
Yeah. I picked because as I was watching it, I was thinking, this is before Reservoir Dogs. I think Tarantino ripped off LA Story because the whole scene at the restaurant at the beginning, the camera moves are exactly the same as the opening scene in Reservoir Dogs at the diner. It's going from person to person as they're talking. The dialogue is kind of overlapping. It'll start over here. It'll cut to like a reaction over there. And then it cuts back. Like when Mary Lou Henner's talking about the accessories and how she like turns her head and whenever it catches her eye, she gets rid of it. That's all Reservoir Dogs. So I think
see, the thing is, man, when I saw
let me tell you, LA Story. Not
LA
that
Story
Tarantino would ever be accused of ripping off another movie, but I'm just saying, maybe in this one instance, LA Story. So good on Mick Jackson and all them that they did a shot just as good as Tarantino, I think.
Very funny.
And he goes back to the well on that shot often, like in Death Proof, he does the exact same shot.
Same thing in Death Proof. He does the same thing in Death Proof. Well, Quentin though is like, to me, he's kind of like a jazz musician, right? In the sense of the way his dialogue flows, but also like, a jazz musician might steal a little bit here, a little bit there, here's a better example. Robin Williams was known for like stealing jokes,
stealing jokes and then paying them off.
but he never did it intentionally, right?
Right.
He would just be going, and then something that he had heard or seen, just kind of came out in his improvisation. I'm not saying it's obviously Quentin's very much, very technical, and he's thinking through his allusions or references or homages, but he is known. I don't know if known for stealing is the best way to say it, but he's known for like using other techniques from other films and structures.
He does kind of have a greatest hits blender in his mind and he's from all over the place. Like the dance scene in Pulp Fiction, he said it's from the Aristocats. And but then when Bruce Willis is driving and he sees Marcellus Wallace, that's from Psycho. There's a shot in Kill Bill that looks right out of The Searchers. I mean, he's all over the place. And I think if
all the dogs on the Spawn Ranch or like the helicopters in Apocalypse Now in the background or something weird. It was something weird like that.
Yeah, I think if he sucked, he'd get crap for it. But he's really good, so he gets a pass.
He gets a pass. He does.
Yeah.
But I do think that's a good shot.
Then he would just be called a hack.
I agree with you. Best line of dialogue. Here's you said one that was funny. Some of these buildings are over 20 years old. I'm emotionally erect. It was funny.
The
which is seen in the trailer.
He describes.
But
just make out the woman's breast.
The best line for me, sometimes like a line of dialogue isn't necessarily the funniest, but it's one that I like could actually reference outside of the film, right? And it would make sense. Showing off is the idiot's version of being interesting.
Yeah, that's a good line.
It's a great line.
That's a good line, and that's a great line. And I have a feeling that was something he probably said well before LA Story and put it in there because it's too good and accurate. And it's accurate to people that are jerks, and it's also accurate to people that aren't jerks but just try really hard and sometimes try too hard.
There's a similar Sorkin line in The Newsroom where he says snark is the idiot's version of wit, which I also like.
Yeah.
But I think I like showing off as the idiot's version of being interesting more.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, the line I always remember, because I thought it was so funny at the time. This movie came out in 91, so I was 15. And Steve Martin finds out that Mary Lou Henner was cheating on him, and he asks how long it had been going on, and she says for 3 years. And he said, this has been going on since the 80s, which I thought in 91 was hilarious because and this is February 91, it just was the 80s. So it hasn't been that long, but he makes it seem like it was decades ago. So I don't think it has the same resonance now, but at the time it would be like if this movie came out in 1990 and they said this has been going on since the 80s, because it wasn't a real measuring stick as it should have been. So at the time, I thought that line was great. But going back to the conversations at the restaurant, I really liked where Mary Lou Henner tells Steve Martin that the character Sheba has been studying the art of conversation. And he says, oh, you're taking a course on conversation? Yes. And just long pause. Like, that's hilarious.
That's so good.
And then as far as like deep, meaningful lines, because there's that, he has a lot of narration in this. And I think one of them that he says that I liked is, why is it that we don't always recognize the moment when love begins, but we always know when it ends? Blah.
That's pretty good.
It's one that hurts sometimes.
Well,
Steve Martin, he knows when you've loved and lost, like Steve Martin has.
Where do you sit on narration in movies?
I know that there's like old screenwriting things that you shouldn't do it because it's cheating, because you're basically telling the audience what to feel. I don't think so. I think it's like anything. I don't think if you can do it and it's good, who cares? Like Apocalypse Now does it, and it's fine.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, I've seen movies where you can tell they did it after the fact, like classics like Pootie Tang, where the narration is done to clean up or change the theme or change the vibe or whatever, or like Blade Runner when they added narration just to make it feel different. I'm not a fan of that, but like Sunset Boulevard has narration from a dead character, and that's cool. I think do it. It's fine. Narrate.
It doesn't bother me, but I do hear people complain about it. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's like a score.
Screenwriting, like the character, the guy wrote story, which I probably have around here somewhere. But
You mean
yeah, it was
Sid Field's book? Is that what you said?
not. It was the Robert. Shoot, it was the one that they portrayed in adaptation.
Don't remember.
Not yeah. That Brian Cox played. Anyway, it's like one of those things. Like if you use narration, then you're cheating. But
it's like a Scorsese go-to.
as long as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. Blah, 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 blah. Like, what do you need?
Yeah, well, Scorsese, all you need is two things to start your Scorsese movie. You need the main character opening narration, and you need a Rolling Stones song at some point.
Yeah, preferably Give Me Shelter.
Exactly. And then you're good to go.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to our...
I'm going to have to try to find Brian Cox. Where are you, Cox? I can't find Cox. Where is he? Why isn't he on there? That's weird.
Well, we'll move on while you look at that to the prop shop pick.
By Cox, yeah.
And to me, is it really? I mean, we can't put the freeway sign in a house, but like that's the one to pick.
Yeah, I mean that's the one that jumps to mind. Although I also do like his 1991 very fancy telephone answering machine, where he's speaking to it and trying to get it to dial mom, and it calls Domino's.
I also like the bit where he answers his own phone as the answering machine.
That's the answering machine. I'm in right now, so you can talk to me personally. Please leave a message at the end of the beep. Or please start talking at the end of the beep. Hello? Hello? Is this a person?
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Do you check your voicemail?
I would have to get voicemail to check voicemail. So no, I would love to check my voicemail, but I don't get voicemail.
Do you remember when you had to call your own number to get your voicemail?
Yeah. Robert McKee. That's the writer of story. Okay, sorry. Yes, you had to dial it, and then it would say, I know what it sounds like because my boss at the day job still has that with his voicemail, and he only uses speakerphone. So I'll hear it where it'll say, welcome to blah, blah, blah. And it's like going back in time. Press 1, and your mailbox is full. Or you have 3 saved messages. Like, oh, wow, you could save them. That's amazing. Yes, I do remember that.
Plot hole parade. It's the freeway sign not being explained.
Yeah, it's the whole movie is basically, if you want to do that. But I like that the big wipe away is the narration at the beginning where Steve Martin says, here's what's happening, and I swear it's all true. And
it's all super silly.
And it can't be. It can't be. But he said it's all true, so it must be. Yeah, they never explained why it does that. And then the ending is a little anticlimactic because the big riddle is meaningless as far as you'll know what to do when you unscramble how daddy is doing or something like that.
How daddy is doing, yeah.
It's do what did he.
It's do what did he. Yeah.
Sure.
Not a great payoff.
No, and even the last sign where they show like this is what I really want to do is direct. That's a pretty old reference to people in Hollywood. It's a pretty inside baseball line. It does kind of peter out there at the end of the old LA Story, but
And I know that
But
he
yeah.
lives maybe even in Los Angeles still, Steve Martin. But to me, first 5 years of his life was spent in Waco, Texas. So he's always going to be a Texan to me.
And then moved to Orange County, which is where I grew up, because he worked at Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm, which are both in Orange County.
That is far.
So he's been in both of our
He has.
zones. I can't
He
wait to
has.
meet him and say, hey,
Yeah,
Brad
Waco,
Gilmore
Texas.
is from Texas. Waco, Texas. I've heard that from something else.
Yeah.
Don't know what
Yeah.
Waco's famous for, but sounds like a wonderful place to just
Waco's
run in
actually a pretty
and,
cool town.
invade and just like go in with gusto. I just want to
So-
run in with no warning. Yes.
You know what's strange? Last time I was in Waco, Texas, there's a weird story, but I was driving back from Dallas and I was listening to a podcast. Could have been ours, I don't know. But I was listening to a podcast and I got lost in the sauce. This is a weird story. This is a true story. I got lost and I'm like, where am I? And then I saw Baylor, which is a college in Texas, and it's in Waco. And I'm like, am I in Waco? So I ended up in Waco. And so I exit, and then there's a sign right there at the underpass that says cemetery this way. Like it's one of these, right? It didn't say this way, it said cemetery.
There's an arrow.
And I go, is this where my grandfather is buried? Right. And so I drove there and I said, hey, is there a Gilmore buried here? And they go, yes, Gene Gilmore here. And I ended up right next to my grandfather's gravesite by accident. Isn't that strange?
And then you went back to talk to the person, and there was no person there.
And there was no
cemetery
person there.
was closed.
But here's the bigger issue that we still can't solve. Get this.
How'd you end up there?
In the Dallas newspaper, it says he died at 49. In the Waco paper, it says he was 47. His birth certificate reads different than his death certificate as far as the year that he was born. It's very confusing. We haven't figured it out.
I think he's alive.
He could be. It's very possible. He was born in
Well,
1913.
You
I think.
told me to write down that great used furniture bit. I'm telling you, that's at least an episode of some
Something.
creepy ass show.
Some creepy ass show.
Waco, creepy ass Waco.
Creepy ass Waco coming to a theater near you.
CAW.
What happens next? Okay, my question is: do you think Harris and Sarah like really survive as a couple?
Yes. It's hard because they were a couple and they didn't. So I think about that. Yeah, I don't know. I think they like for me the what happens next is they go to England and he hates it and goes back, and she doesn't want to go back to LA, and that's how they break up. So yeah, I guess I don't think they will stay together, but that's often the case with movies where if you think too far ahead about the romance, you're like, well, this isn't going to get past the credits, really. None of these characters should be together. Most Cusack movies, he will not be with that whoever he's romancing. He will not be with the girl from Say Anything. He will not be with Kate Beckinsale from Serendipity. He will not be with Minnie Driver from Grosse Pointe Blank. None of them.
None of them.
And High Fidelity, definitely not. Definitely not High Fidelity.
No.
So no couple in any movie stays together because that's how boring. Because you don't want to picture they go through such an interesting story that once that's done, where do they go from there? Just life, like the rest of us?
Yeah, for real.
F no. How I don't want to see like who's a good couple? I don't know. Jaws and the Shark, Jaws and Brody. I don't want to see them together afterwards. They just
You don't want to see Jaws and Brody make it?
no. Pee Wee Herman and Dottie, maybe.
Maybe. That'd be a good one.
But even Kermit and Miss Piggy break up from time to time.
But they
But
get
he
back
doesn't
together.
like her because Miss Piggy is a big old bee. I love the Muppets. I hate Miss Piggy.
She
She's
is a
not
little
good.
bit annoying.
She's not good for him.
She's not.
She's too bossy
She's very
and
bad.
violent, physically violent. And
She's
everyone
not-
thinks
she's
it's
not
so funny.
They think that she's the best, and she's not the
She's
best.
not. She's not. She's far from the best.
Yeah, I agree.
But not a lot of female characters in the Muppets to root for.
No, there's not.
Definitely Boys Club.
Now, let me ask you, what do you think happens the next day?
Yeah, they go to London and they start to try to have a life. I think he becomes the weatherman there, but it's very depressing because it's always foggy and gross. So
Well, it's kind of the opposite of what he's doing now.
yeah. So
Same problem.
London Story is the sequel, and but it's just it's all, and Rick Moranis definitely has a cameo and then lots of Shakespeare, probably a lot of Shakespeare
You think so?
for sure, because that's the real Shakespeare.
I do like that idea.
Yeah.
I like that idea. As far as our final few categories here, let's get to my favorite one, which is peak of their powers.
Yes.
Okay, let's look at the cast. Steve Martin.
Yeah. So Steve Martin had just done Planes, Trains, which is my favorite of the Steve Martin movies, and my favorite of the John Hughes movies, actually, which is a tough call. But Planes, Trains is tough to beat. He had done Roxanne, he did Parenthood, and he's just about to do Father of the Bride, as I mentioned before. So I think he is in a peak spot that kind of started to go downhill because he was in some duds. I wasn't a huge fan of like the Cheaper by the Dozens or his Pink Panther or even Sergeant Bilko. My apologies to Clue director Jonathan Lynn, who directed Sergeant Bilko, but not a huge fan. And then I think his big return, really, I do think is Only Murders, which I think I really do like that show.
It's a great show.
And they are going to London in the next season. So what?
Look at that. And another great show of great cameos. People come out for Steve Martin.
Yeah,
They want to see it.
I would.
Yeah. Why not?
It is
What?
definitely not the peak of Sarah Jessica Parker's power because she was just getting started.
I was trying to look up Steve Martin's while we were talking his run. You went through most of them there.
Yeah, because you're like, I could see you there. You're like signing autographs. You're signing headshots right now.
I'm signing headshots. No, I'm looking at my phone. You know what movie I did love that it was way before this one, but I do love Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. I'm looking at it.
Digging deep.
So let's look. So let's try to figure out if this is really peak though, because you have Three Amigos, Little Shop of Horrors, Roxanne, Planes, Trains, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Parent, Blue Heaven.
Yeah.
That 86 to 89 run is crazy. Now, if we look at him in the 90s, it's My Blue Heaven, LA Story, Father of the Bride, Grand Canyon. Not really a movie I think of. Yeah.
No.
House Sitter. Okay, that's one of the Goldie Hawn ones, I think.
Yeah, I like House Sitter.
Simple Twist of Fate. That was the one based on
Drama.
Silas Martin, right?
Drama. Mixed Nuts was Nora Ephron. I kind of like Mixed Nuts, but it did not do well.
No, I think that 80s is peak.
Yeah, because then like Out of Towners is fine, but then Bowfinger is great, and then he starts doing Bringing Down the House and Looney Tunes and Pink Panther and
Yeah.
There's kind of a lot of cameos or small parts. It looks like just doing what he wants to do. He's playing the banjo during that time.
Well, he's a banjo guy.
Yeah, he loves banjo.
He loves a good banjo. Who doesn't love a good banjo?
Oh, you can't be upset with the banjo.
Well, you know, Howard Stern doesn't like a banjo, and I think he said that as much to Steve Martin. I'm looking to see, definitely not Sarah Jessica Parker, and the cameos, I don't think you can really count.
No. Victoria Tennant, she did a lot of England things, and I think this is probably, if anybody knows who she is, no offense, Victoria Tennant, but it's probably from this.
Yeah.
Or All of Me, so the other Steve Martin movie.
So let me ask you this now. Did you find any good trivia nuggets other than John Lithgow was just cut out of the movie?
Totally cut out. Let's see. I think I kind of mentioned them as we went along.
Yeah.
I mentioned Terry Jones. The hotel in Santa Barbara is called El Pollo del Mar, which is chicken of the sea in Spanish. And then La Idiot
La Idiot.
is the fancy restaurant. And then I mentioned that Sandy in the closed captioning has the big S, little A, little N, big D, little E, big E, and a star at the end. That's about it. I would love to see like all the deleted scenes. I think there's extras on the streaming version on Apple, and I think they do show the Harry Zim scene when it plays on TV, if it still does. But you can also find that on the Tube of You.
The Tube of You is pretty good for that scene.
Yeah,
I like it. Let's see. We did the sequel, prequel, Prestige TV. I think that you either do London Story or you do the Sign, Before the Sign guy. The first Sign.
I think, prequel would be interesting because you could go into like the 50s, the 60s, the 70s and meet different people that have talked to early technology that helped them along.
So I guess, Jeff, upon your return to seeing LA Story, how long had it been since you'd seen it last?
It's probably been 5 years, 6 years, maybe 7 years, maybe 8 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years. It's been a while.
So I heard some of the houses have been around.
Yeah, it had been a while. Yeah, since that house was built. It had been a while. So I would say seeing it again, like I said at the top, I was surprised at the silliness, but not put off by it. So I still enjoyed it. It's just sillier than I remember, but still good.
Not a bad silly though.
No, and I just think I could feel its datedness. I could feel the references being old, and you could either think it's dated or charming, depending on your point of view. And if you care about what LA was like in the 90s. But I think to your point, when you said it's more about shallow people now, I think with influencers and social media and everything being everywhere, LA is kind of expanded global. So it's not specific to Southern California and Hollywood anymore. I think it's all those shallow characters that are asking for a twist of lemon. There's a version of that on TikTok right now.
But at least those characters, they're pretentious. They're pretentious, right? And I don't like pretentious people, but sometimes with pretension actually comes at least some, like when someone's pretentious, at least they're like, they're bourgeoisie. They may have some money. They may have some education level. I don't know. Like at least, I'm not saying any justification for pompousness,
right?
But at least there's something to back it up a little bit. Whereas today, the influencer has none of that. It's just the superficiality.
Right. It's the algorithm was on your side one day, or you accidentally captured somebody getting punched in the balls, and now you rode that wave. Yeah, or you accidentally said Haktua on a microphone, and now you're the Haktua girl.
What happened to her?
That's the thing. You got what else after Haktua? What else you got?
You got anything? You got
There's a whole joke making there. Somebody happy, but not the world.
Not the world.
You can't do that to the world, folks.
What comes after the Haktua? Well, there's a couple of things.
The wipey in my experience, and I think they wiped her off and threw her in the toilet. Ladies and gentlemen, it's late. This is late night PIC SIX.
It's late for you, brother. It's 10:30 on the East Coast.
That's
so
right.
As we wind down, I will say I enjoyed LA Story.
Okay,
It did not hit the highs of Mulholland Drive, which I'm
very
really
different
thinking might be one of the great movies of the 2000s.
Yeah,
Seriously,
that one sticks.
that one's good. The more I
That
think
one,
about it, the
let
more
me
I
tell
like
you, that movie also, I think the freeway sign, whatever that is now, is what made us watch that movie because it wasn't a typical pick on Pick Six. It broke all
wasn't
the
atypical.
rules. It
It
popped up
wasn't
because of algorithm on my YouTube, which is today's freeway sign.
So I was thinking about what my next pick was going to be.
Oh yeah.
I've been kind of thinking through it. There's a list that we've kept. I've given you like the pulp superhero film. I've given you a good action comedy and a bad action comedy. I've given you a bad action movie
Which is which? No, we
just
know
that
which is
had
which.
pretty people in it. I've given you a movie that you seem to be dated because it's directed by Brett Ratner, and it wasn't your
It was
favorite.
tough. It was tough. Good
But
Bond movie that I'm liking more after I think about that one.
Yes, On Her Majesty's
Yes.
Service, Christopher
Yeah, but
Nolan's
that one
favorite
going
movie.
way back at
Christopher Nolan's favorite Bond
season
movie.
one.
Odyssey, fantastic. So I was
Yeah.
leaning toward an actual Chris Nolan film,
Ooh.
and then I go, I don't know, because I wanted to go from an LA story to a New York story, and we're going to
Ooh.
switch it all the way up.
We're
The
going.
category of Jack or Denzel is not needed because Denzel Washington plays Frank Lucas in this movie. It is American Gangster from Ridley Scott with an incredible cast in this film. Denzel Washington, Russell Crowe, Josh Brolin, Common, T.I., Chiwetel Ejiofor, Idris Elba. The list goes on and on.
Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis is in the movie too.
Oh, American as the original American gangster,
The
Canadian
original
gangster.
But we're gonna go Denzel,
All right.
American Gangster. Change of pace.
AG.
AG. That is going to be our next pick 6 for the General Jeff Smith. My name is the Boat, Brad Gilmore. The Boat is actually trademarked by somebody else I found out last week. But until next time, this has been Pick Six Podcast. That was LA Story. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you somewhere in between? Too silly? Did you understand the metaphors? You'll think about it for days, years, months, weeks to come.
I've been thinking about it since the 80s.
I've been thinking about it since the 80s. That's Jeff Smith. I'm Brad Gilmore, and we're out.